When I arrived at college, I found out I was the starting quarterback. Even though they had told me I'd only be the backup this year, I had leapfrogged Dylan Morris. However, I'd have to go out and prove it was my spot to lose against Boise State, and midway through the second quarter, I faked the handoff, I saw a ton of open space, so I scrambled in for my first collegiate touchdown. Then, on the next drive, we went for it on a long 4th and 12, and I delivered a laser to the end zone. I was trying to use my legs as much as I could, because I knew that I was faster than most of the other players out there on the field. But right before halftime, I tried to thread the needle, and I ended up throwing my first collegiate interception. That one play put me on the coach's bad side, and if I wasn't able to finish with Kalen DeBoer's trust above 0, I would lose the starting quarterback job. Going into the 4th, we were up 7, and we would take a 10-point lead on this field goal, which was going to end up being enough to get us the win. But head coach Kalen DeBoer did not trust me, so the win didn't mean much, because the next day I was competing to keep my starting job in practice. And since my offensive line couldn't block a free rusher, I was in a lot of trouble. The Washington weather made all my receivers drop the ball, and even though I delivered some dots, I was listed as the backup. I only had practice to focus on, and I went out and played amazing. However, it still wasn't enough to challenge for the starting quarterback spot yet, so I was stuck holding the kicker's balls against Illinois. I couldn't believe I had lost my starting job after leading us to a win, but with Dylan Morris putting us up by a ton of points, I got to hand it off a couple times at the end of the game. My goal at practice this week was to play so well that Kalen DeBoer had to let me challenge for the starting job. And after getting my first player upgrade, I was able to play well enough to earn a position battle the following week. I was ready to beat out Dylan Morris, but my wide receivers weren't helping me at all as they continued to struggle to catch the ball. Seattle's raining weather was really disrupting my performance, but I was determined to persevere through it all and win the QB battle. And after I made a couple huge plays that were able to boost up coach's trust in me a ton, I needed one good rep to win the starting spot. But coach made me run a wildcat play, I wasn't able to gain any trust on it, and he screwed me out of the QB battle. I felt like it was official that Kalen DeBoer completely hated me, and since we weren't winning by enough against our FCS opponent, I never even got to take a snap at QB. Coach gave me another chance to earn the starting spot the following week, and I went out and completely dominated, showing I was the man for the job. With the starting spot officially being mine in my first game back, we were taking on 2-1 Arizona. But our play calling was horrible as we ran halfback draw on 3rd and 16. And once they finally let me throw the ball, Terrell Bynum stopped his route and just ran away from the pass. However, I was able to bounce back from that interception and find sophomore wide receiver Giles Jackson for the 70-yard bomb the next possession. And then I finished the job by running it in for the touchdown. I wasn't done though, as I took us down the field right before halftime, and I scrambled in for my second touchdown of the night. Midway through the third quarter, I got absolutely obliterated and I got hurt on this wide receiver screen that never got open. But by the fourth quarter, I was back in the game and I was going to do anything I could to get us a win. A little bit later in the quarter, I stepped up and I threw what should have been the game-tying touchdown, but Rome Duns couldn't hold on to it. My receivers weren't catching anything that I threw their way, and on the biggest play of the game, Coach took the ball out of my hands. I was the only reason we were in the game against Arizona, yet Coach made me the backup again, so I was right back to holding balls, watching my team get destroyed, and competing for my chance at another QB competition during a rainy practice. After earning yet another position battle, I worked on my carrying ability, and I even made sure my arm was ready for a long week. I really wanted to start against number 12 Oregon, but once again, I had to go out and compete against Dylan Morris for the starting quarterback spot. And even though it was a super close battle, in the end, I was able to become QB1 again by clutching up on the last rep. We were sitting at the bottom of the Pac-12, and if we wanted any chance of making the conference championship, we would have to beat the Ducks. I was doing everything in my power to help us move the ball down the field, but our offensive coordinator kept calling halfback draws on 3rd and 16. Additionally, I had no time in the pocket, but I continued to throw lasers to keep us in the game. And after taking my Huskies all the way down the field, I came up short of getting us into the end zone. Being only 5'8" meant that a lot of balls got batted down at the line, and honestly, I just wasn't clicking with any of the receivers. With a little over 4 minutes left in the fourth, I thought I had Jalen McMillan deep, but the safety made an amazing play on the ball, and for the first time in the season, I felt like if I was to get benched, I'd actually deserve it this time, and that was proven minutes later, because despite taking the Huskies all the way down the field at the end of the game, I threw my second interception right to the Oregon defense, and I also got injured on the same play. My terrible play demoted me all the way back to being the backup, but I was ready to end the position battle once and for all. Even though I was still a little bit injured, they sent me out to hold balls as the backup, and even though I actually deserved to lose the starting spot to Dylan Morris this time, he couldn't lead the team to a win either. After that loss, I decided I was going to practice through an injury, and it was time for me to ball out. It was pretty frustrating that it rained literally every practice, but once again, I persevered through it and I was able to sling the ball all over the field. However, we fell just short of earning another QB battle, so in Week 9 against California, I watched Dylan Morris play the worst game I had ever seen. The following practice, Kalen DeBoer was paying close attention to me, and I proved to him that I was ready to step back in as the starter. As a reward for playing so well in practice, he gave me yet another chance to earn the starting quarterback spot the following week. And right before the competition, I had just enough points to make myself a much better quarterback. Unfortunately, my receivers couldn't hold on to the ball in the rain if their life depended on it, and rumor has it that the Huskies receiving room didn't even have to get the COVID vaccine because they can't catch anything. It was honestly the most frustrating part of my first season. Even though it was looking like I was going to lose the QB battle, this one play shot me all the way back in it, and all I needed was another completion to win, and I was able to finally have one of my receivers hold on to the rock. Starting quarterback was now my position to lose. This was a must-win game if we wanted a chance at making a bowl game this season, but once again, I was suffering from having a receiving core with no hands, and hell, I think Shaquem Griffin could even do better than this. But it didn't matter what I thought, I was just a player on the team, and I still needed to build a connection with all of my receivers. Midway through the third, Coach wanted me to throw a completely locked up wide receiver screen, so I held on to the ball, I fumbled it for 6, and we were down by 21. In response, I tried my hardest to take my team all the way down the field and get us on the board, but I ended up taking a big hit and hurting my knee. By the second half, I was back in the game, and I knew that I wanted to at least make the game a close one, so on the next play, I scanned the field, and I saw that Roma Duns had beaten his man. I let it fly, and that 56-yard touchdown got us within 18 points. On the next drive, I continued my dominance, finding tight end K. Doughton for the huge gain, but later on that drive, somehow I got a stinger on this play right here, so Dylan Morris came in, he didn't pick up the third down, and our kicker missed the field goal. The next time I came in the game, I watched another ball slip out of my receiver's hands, but I still managed to take the team down the field, finding Terrell Bynum for this 42-yard completion. And from there, Richard Newton easily got into the end zone, and when we went for 2, I was able to connect for the conversion. All of a sudden, we were within 10, and we had the ball back. I confidently threw a deep ball to Tyrell Bynum, who shed the safety's tackle, and he got us within 3. Once again, our defense got another stop, and I had a chance to secure the starting spot. I saw Roma Dunsey breaking free, and I found him for the touchdown. That was enough to win, but I would also like to note that this game should show you why I don't call 4 verticals in any other game mode. It's completely broken, but Coach calls my plays in Road to Glory. And I'd love to be happy that we had won, but in practice, this drop ball got picked off, and I was right back to being on Coach's bad side. I'm not sure why it's my fault everybody sucks at catching, but after throwing a terribly run comeback route trying to get back on Coach's good side, it was clear that I was somehow going to lose the starting job. However, after practice, Coach promised me I wasn't in any danger of losing my spot, but he lied, as I was listed as the backup in Week 12. That's right, the guy that just led Washington to their first win in 5 games was back to holding balls, and I was legitimately disgusted. I didn't even care that we won, but it motivated me, as during practice that week, I threw the ball as perfectly as I could have, and I made sure that I was going to get one last shot at being the starting quarterback for the Washington Huskies. With 5 reps left, I had earned enough of Coach's trust to get one more position battle, but it didn't end up going so well, and with a bowl game on the line, I was simply just a kick holder. We ended up winning the game. I worked on my arm strength and accuracy, and I went into Week 14 challenging Dylan Morris for the starting job. I wanted to be the quarterback that took down our rivals in the Apple Cup, but the story of the season was drop balls that should have been caught, and I was getting so sick of it that after one more drop pass, I stopped trusting my receivers, and I decided to use my legs on every single play after that. But it didn't work out, as on the last play, my lineman forgot how to block and let a free rusher right in on me. I still couldn't believe how dirty Kalen DeBoer did me after my comeback win against Colorado, and I had to watch from the sideline as my team lost the Apple Cup. I was really contemplating transferring, but we had a bowl game coming up. Coach gave me one more shot at beating out Dylan Morris, and I was finally able to step up, find my receiver over the middle in the rain, and rise to the occasion one last time. I was going to be the bowl game starter. At the end of the year, we had finished at the bottom of our conference. Tyrion Davis-Price had won the Heisman, and Iowa State was at the top of the polls. Even though we finished with 6 wins, we didn't get a bowl game. That meant these were my final stats for the year, and I'm going to ask you all, should I stay at Washington for my sophomore season?